Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Shyama Rajaram, former professor in the Department of Library and Information Science of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, which is in the state of Gujarat. This module is on economics of information, which comes under the paper Knowledge Society. This presentation will help you in understanding all about economics of information professionals' point of view. If you are wondering how this lesson will be useful to you, well, I plan to cover 6 objectives through this presentation. 1, you will be able to understand clearly the concept of economics of information. Then, the effects of information and information systems on economy. Thirdly, you will be able to view information as a commodity. And you will also be able to understand characteristics of information. And I'm sure by the end of this presentation, you will also be able to chart out economic properties and economic role of information. Lastly, and most importantly, you will be able to recognize information services as products. The extensive development of informational technologies and a paradigm shift to information work as a predominant occupation has led to the conception of information as a primary source of income. Information is a valuable asset to those who possess it. We are living in a dynamic world, a very complex world, where information is very important for the personal, for a human as well as technical development. Now let's come to our first objective. What is the concept of economics of information? Well, the discipline of economics is divided into 2 general fields, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, microeconomics analyzes the economic decision-making process of individual units, maybe persons, households, firms or industry in an economy. Where this microeconomics also attempts to study the factors that affect economic choices of these individuals and the effects of changes in these factors on their decision making. Whereas macroeconomics deals with the behavior and performance of an economy as a whole. It is concerned with the study of, say, gross domestic product, inflation, growth rate, unemployment, price indices, savings, consumptions, even international trade, international finance, etc. Information is concerned with microeconomic theory. It assesses the role of information, which you can see in this slide. It assesses the role of information in all economic activities as a factor of production, growth, and development. Information economics, according to Stiglitz, who is a Nobel laureate and a very famous economist, he says, has explored the extent to which markets and other institutions process and convey information. Now, you may be wondering, what is the definition of information? According to Wikipedia, you have the definition before you that information economics or the economics of information is a branch of microeconomic theory, which I just told you, that studies how information and information systems affect an economy and economic decisions. Now, Stiglitz has also pointed out that because information is very costly, both suppliers and demanders must spend resources to acquire and disseminate information. Also, the existence and role of middlemen is a market response to costly information. Now, the definition of information, economics of information, you just went through. So, here you can also see that it is easy to create. Information is easy to create, but it is very difficult to trust. It is easy to spread, but it is very hard to control. Now, you may be wondering, are there any significant subfields of information economy? Yes, information asymmetry and signal are very significant subfields of information economics. Now, what is meant by information asymmetry? Well, information asymmetry, this situation of asymmetric information happens when in a transaction one party has more knowledge than the other. Often the seller knows more than the buyer, although in some situations the reverse can also take place. For example, in retail markets, the seller will always have more knowledge than the buyer, whereas while taking a life insurance, the buyer knows more about his health status than the seller. Such imbalance of power in transactions can sometimes lead to market failures. Thus, information asymmetry studies the decisions in such transactions. Now, what is meant by signal? Well, Michael Spence proposed the idea of signaling. According to him, signals are used to resolve the situation of information asymmetry. For example, a prospective employee would signal his type to help transferring information about himself. So, attaching a degree certificate as a proof of having attended a certain college, the prospective employee signals to the employer that he has the necessary skill to do the job. Such signals remove the information asymmetry in the job market, where employees know less about the prospective employees. Now, the question is there any significant related fields of information economics? Yes, game theory. Now, the question is, what is game theory and how is it related to economics of information? Well, game theory is concerned with the analysis of strategies regarding decision making in situations of competition and conflict under stated rules. The theory employs games of strategy where participants are faced with choices of action by which each may gain or lose depending on what actions others choose. Now, besides many types of games, game theory consists of games of perfect action, imperfect action, complete information, and incomplete information. A game consisting perfect information is a situation where all players know the moves previously made by other players, like games of chess. See, in a game of chess, you know what moves the other players have made, where all the players can see the pieces constantly on the board. Many card games consist of imperfect information, as each player's cards are hidden from other players. For example, the game of rummy, you do not know what cards the other player is having. So, one of the theoretical preconditions of an efficient, perfectly competitive market is complete information. A game consisting complete information is a situation where each player may not know what action has been taken by the other, but is privy to the strategies and payoffs available to the other players. If information is not complete, then the individual players would find it difficult to predict the effect that their actions would have on the other players. Theories of information economics are often tested through game theory methods. So I hope the concept and definition of economics of information is clear, and so are the concepts of information asymmetry and game theory. Now, in the context of economics of information, we should try to understand how information and information systems affect economy. See, even before I answer this question, let us decide how do we define information and information systems in this context. Well, in this context, information is something that would reduce uncertainty And information system is a collection of technical and human resources that provide the storage, computing, and communication for the information required by the organization. How do information and information systems affect economy? Now, even before I answer this question, let us decide how do we define information and information systems in this context. Now, information is one that reduces the uncertainty. Information system is a collection of technical and human resources that provide the storage, computing, and communication for the information required by the organization. As the concept of information is intertwined in the concept of information systems, in the rest of this section, we will try and explore how information and information systems together affect economy. Initially, organizations used technology to automate operational processes, but somehow along the line, the technology was instrumental in bringing about a revolutionary change in their business procedures. Now, we can examine the effect of such revolutionary advances on the economy with reference to the following 5 different aspects. The 5 different aspects are the economic effect of information technology on organizations, electronic markets, network effects, social media, and informational characteristics of markets. Now let's come to the first aspect, that is the economic effect of information technology on organizations. Now, information technology can be viewed as a factor of production which can be substituted for capital and labor. Labor has always been expensive, so when the cost of technology decreases and can be substituted for labor, it translates into an overall reduction of costs. As the cost of information technology decreases, it also substitutes for expensive building and machinery. Now, information technology has brought about fundamental changes in the economics of organizations, managers and clerical staff employed by the organizations. Now, owing to the declining cost of technology compared to capital investment and labor costs, managers tend to invest more on information systems. Now, organizations not only reduce their production costs but also reduce their transaction costs. Now, your question would be, what are transaction costs? Well, transaction costs are costs that organizations have to spend on market participation, like locating the supplier for auxiliary parts, monitoring the orders and their compliance, etc. Now, with good information technology in place, it is easier and less expensive for organizations to link with external suppliers and reduce their transaction costs without having to expand in size, yet they manage to expand their revenues. Now let's come to the second aspect through which we can see the effect of information and information systems on economy. The second aspect which we can see is electronic markets. Now, electronic markets are part of electronic commerce, which refer to the use of internet and digital media capabilities for marketing products. It is also called as internet marketing and online marketing. Besides computers, internet and World Wide Web, a range of technologies like digital telephone network, cellular network, interactive cable television, email, and a plethora of online services are used in electronic marketing to connect business to their customers. Now, besides large business houses, small firms also find e-marketing affordable as it is cost effective, and all kinds of firms can go for a personalized marketing approach. The other benefits are that 24/7 365 marketing is possible with a wide reach. Interactive features of the web make it possible to engage with the audience more effectively. Now let's come to the third aspect through which we can see the effect of information and information systems on economy. The third aspect is network effects. Now, network effects refers to the effect whereby goods and services become more valuable when more people use it. For example, if more people use telephone or social networks, higher would be its value to the entire group. Say if only one person is owning telephone, and if you have 10 friends and none of the others are having any telephone, your telephone has no use. So you can see network effects are witnessed more in acceptance of technologies for which interaction and compatibility with others is important, like telephone, social networking sites, fax machines, etc. The concept of network effects was first presented by Bell Telephone in the early 20th century. Later, it was further developed by many researchers. The works of Cards and Shapiro are considered among seminal work on network effects. Cards and Shapiro stated that many products have little or no value in isolation but generate value when combined with others. Examples include nuts and bolts. See, if you have just nut and no bolt, the nut has no value. If you have just bolt and no nut, it has no value. But nuts and bolts together provide fastening services. You can fasten things. Similarly, home audio or video components and programming, which together provide entertainment services. So these researchers try to explore the economics of such systems. Here, they could see market competition between two systems instead of between two individual products. This, they concluded, highlighted the issue of expectations, coordination, and compatibility. The basic purpose of certain products may not be interaction with others, but prospective buyers would tend to buy the one which is used by many others. For example, a computer operating system which has large number of users would be the popular choice by many because more software would be written on it. For example, today Windows is a popular choice than any other platform. Now, let's move to the next effect, that is social media. That is another aspect, social media. It is also important to look into the effects of social media on economy. They are not just for personal interactions, but also for serious business. Social media is also used as a route to self-employment like consultancy services. Social media's contribution to the global economy is somewhere in the range of 8.5%. In fact, in January 2012, Facebook's COO, that is Chief Operating Officer, Sheryl Sandberg, said that Facebook is not just fun posts and pictures. It is all about growth, jobs, and empowering people. She said, according to Deloitte study, Facebook added 15.3 billion US dollars in value to the European economy. In 2011, the company was responsible for 232,000 jobs in Europe. Besides rise in employment and improved communication, through social technologies also help in empowering the productivity of workers within and across organizations. Enterprises are using social networks to build teams where employees share information and solve their problems quickly. So, more importantly, social media is used for marketing in a big way. It is the reality of today's economy. When people share the content of product promotions through social networking, it spreads rapidly across millions of users. Users also find it appealing as it appears to be coming from their friends rather than the company itself. Moreover, in social marketing, the enterprises join the social channels and interact with the individual followers, and such personal interactions make them loyal to their products. For instance, when an individual makes a purchase through Flipkart, the website encourages the buyer to post a comment on her experience or write a review on the book purchased. Now, such electronic word of mouth acts like repeated product promotion. Through social networks like Facebook and Twitter, business houses learn about the likes and dislikes of their consumers, and that makes it easy for them to advertise accordingly. Now, Google Plus can easily track the location of its users, so it helps in location-based marketing. Now, networking capabilities in mobile phones means that users can be updated in real time about new products and comments on them. Now let's move to the fifth aspect, that is the informational characteristics of markets. Like through this aspect also you can understand the effect of information and information systems on economy. Now, markets generally have informational characteristics. The availability of information or lack of it does have an impact on the performance of the markets. Now, unlike in academics and research, markets are not subjected to smooth flow of information. Uncertainties and resulting risks are very common to buyers and sellers. There is always an information gap between the knowledge of the buyer and the seller. In other words, the buyer generally, though not always, knows less about a product or service than the seller. This is called information asymmetry, a concept which I have already explained to you. There is always an attempt to reduce the information asymmetry experienced by the buyer. Besides warranty or guarantee and advertising, the seller also brings out product promotion literature for the buyers. Now, better and more reliable the literature, that is information about the product, greater would be the sale of that product. This information asymmetry also affects the financial markets. Generally, uncertainties surround an investment project, and this puts a question mark on the repaying capacity of the borrower. A lender can suffer a wrong selection when he is not able to distinguish between projects with different credit risks. When two projects are of equal value, the lender would prefer the one that is safest, but the borrower would go for the one that is riskier. In fact, this asymmetric information is often pointed out as the major factor hampering the effective operation of insurance markets. For example, in health insurance markets, the subscriber would have superior information about his health, which may be at a higher risk, and thus he may go for more coverage. But for such higher risk cases, the cost of coverage would also be very high, owing to which the insurer's profit may suffer. Insurance companies do try to reduce this information asymmetry by asking the prospective subscriber to go for health checkups and bring the needed medical certificates. So this is how the information asymmetry would be reduced. Now, let's come to the other aspect, that is information as a commodity. When we say economics of information assesses the role of information in all economic activities, the role now let's come to the aspect of information as a commodity. When we say economics of information assesses the role of information in all economic activities, and many of the problems and features of markets and other institutions result from costly information, it means we are viewing information as a commodity which can be bought and sold. Now, information as a commodity differs from tangible goods in terms of what constitutes value and what it means to buy or sell. Information is intangible. It does not exist in one place like a tangible object. Also, hundreds of individuals can possess the same piece of information at a given point of time. Unlike other tangible goods, information can be retained by the owner even after selling or delivering it. So, let's look into the characteristics of information before discussing the economic properties and economic role of information. The information age visionary and thinker Harlan Cleveland has identified 6 characteristics of information. The next 2 slides would highlight them for you. The first characteristics that he brings forth is that information is expandable. As we use information, it expands and does not deplete. This characteristics of information is exploited by many, like scientific research, publishing, and advertising, etc. As information is expandable and all the facts are never in, the problem of information uncertainty also comes into play. And information overload makes life different, if not difficult. Besides, it's very difficult to measure the extent to which information is expandable. Now, let's come to the second characteristics of information, that information is compressible. Strangely enough, information that is infinitely expandable is also compressible. Insights from large amount of data can be compressed into a theorem or a formula. Large experiences can be compressed into, say, handbook or a manual. Information is also substitutable. Information can be substituted for land, labor, and material. For example, automation can replace a good portion of the workers in manufacturing industries. The fourth characteristics of information is that it is transportable. Information is transportable across space and time. You can send messages in real time from one end of the globe to another. In fact, today you can even send messages from Earth to devices in Mars. Information is also diffusive. Information is very restless and finds an outlet to spread. It leaks and it is difficult to bind it legally or through any authoritarian force. Lastly, information is shareable. It is not exchangeable like goods. If someone gives you a pen, for example, if I give you a pen, you have it and I will not have that pen. But when I give you some knowledge, then you will also have it, I will also have it, and it can also be shared with still more people. So these are the 6 characteristics of information. So information as a commodity is very different from other tangible commodities. Yet MacLab pronounced information to be the transforming resource for the post-industrial society. It means information which is so important for development possesses attributes similar to other tangible commodities. It is often pointed out by economists that consumption and cost of information is measurable like that of any other commodity and can be subjected to cost accounting analysis. Information also goes through the cyclic process of generation, collection, storage, refinement, dissemination, use, and disposal like any other commodity. So, information, although intangible, possesses the attributes of a tangible commodity, and it is an important economic resource for the development of individuals and nations. Now let's come to the economic properties of information. The next several slides will be presented to you on economic properties of information. The first is that a change in the physical carrier of information does not affect its content. We can call it as content versus carrier. That is, the subject content of a book would remain the same whether it is in print format or it is in e-format, electronic format on a CD. Second, its use of a limited physical resource. That is, to produce information, huge amount of physical resources are not needed. With limited physical resource, huge amount of information can be produced. Third, minimal reproduction cost. That is, unlike other commodities, reproduction of information incurs minimal cost. Only the first copy is expensive and involves the major cost. The additional copies can be created with much less cost. Fourth, lesser transportation cost. Especially when the information is in the electronic format, its transportation cost is very small. Fifth, information is priced according to consumer value, not according to the production cost. See, information is priced not according to its production cost, but according to its consumer value. So, unlike physical goods, it is difficult to draw a direct relationship between the amount of material used to produce a certain information. For example, for a piece of cloth, one can measure the amount of cloth used, but for a piece of say written report or a written material, how can one measure the intellect that has gone into it? Hence, the value of research lies with the potential consumer. The sixth property, economic property of information, is that relationship between time and value of information is sometimes inverted and sometimes it is direct. That is, relationship of information and time is very complex. Sometimes, like perishable goods, yesterday's information, especially in the context of stock markets, may become worthless today. Sometimes, like real estate in India, its value may increase tenfold. For example, a pharmaceutical research conducted today may be considered a breakthrough result in future. Seventh, relationship between distance and value of information. See, just as the value of tangible commodity decreases if one has to travel a long distance to acquire it, the value of information would also decay if one has to travel a long distance to access it. Eighth, differential usage. As the value of information lies with the consumer, the degree of its usage also lies with the consumer. Generally, a small percentage of users tend to use information more frequently and a high percentage of percentage use information less frequently. So it is the small percentage would be the group prepared to pay high price for information. Ninth, larger the accumulation, more the value. In other words, when the accumulation of information is very large, it becomes more valuable. For example, older the data warehouse, more valuable would be the permutations and combinations that can be achieved in data mining. 10th, information can also be owned like any other property. To ensure that creators are able to sustain their creativity, their intellectual creations are looked upon as intellectual properties, and hence they are protected through IPR, that is intellectual property rights. Now IPR confer ownership rights and protection to the creators of intellectual products. Now such a protection gives the creators some opportunity to recover the investments that they have made and an incentive to make it available to the rest of the world. Lastly, information can also be bequeathed like any other property. In India, the length of copyright is the life of the author plus 60 years. In most of the world, it varies from 50 to 70 years after the death of the author. So, it means the authors can hand down their rights to their heir, and like any other property, it can be inherited by the relatives. So, these are some 11 economic properties of information. Now let's come to the economic role of information. So information has powerful economic role to play. Information is essential for decision making in governance. Information helps in decision making in individuals, to individuals as well as organizations. Management information systems help in the operational management of the organizations. Information is very important in the market. It plays a very important role in the market. If information asymmetry is not resolved, transactions cannot take place. As information can be substituted for land, labor and material, it can bring down the cost of production of goods. Information through advertisement and market promotion influences and encourages people to buy. Information is essential in education and research. No teaching and learning can take place without information. Information is essential to legislate. Information is essential for judiciary. Information is essential for armed forces. Information is the substance of entertainment industry, be it film, theatre, TV or radio show. Information is vital for tourism and hospitality industry. Information also supports service sectors like banking, insurance, transportation, media, etc. Information services can be sold by private individuals as consultants. Information by itself is a subject of scientific study. Now the question comes, the last, our objective. Can information services be viewed as products? Yes, they can be, as all information products essentially involve a service component. Data may often be first collected and compiled, then analyzed and organized in a given structure. These are essentially information related activities of the economy. Now, technology has made the creation, manipulation and dissemination of information products much easier. Here, I would make an attempt in this section to capture the information services that are distributed or sold as information products. Here is a chart in this slide which will show you 11 types of services that are distributed or sold as products. Let's take them up one by one. So I take up the first one, offline information services as products. Now, offline information services as optical products on CD-ROMs, VCDs, and DVDs abound in multiple areas of human activity. Scholarly databases, either as back volumes of journals or encyclopedias, are available on CDs and DVDs in diverse disciplines. At the same time, we have the whole entertainment industry thriving on music and film CDs, DVDs, and VCDs. The video game industry is yet another multi-million dollar industry engaged in development, marketing, and sale of video games. Second, the online scholarly database services as products. See, there are many online databases providing access to articles in academic journals, repositories, archives, etc. Many of these databases are subscription based, but at the same time, a substantial portion is also in the open access. The researchers, teachers, and students generally depend upon scholarly databases for their study and research. As subscription-based databases are very expensive for individual subscriptions, it is the libraries which normally subscribe to them and give access to their members. Users are also able to purchase individual articles from the publishers or providers of such services. For example, EBSCO Publishing provides academic search, age line. ProQuest provides Ulrich's periodicals directory. Thomson Reuters provides Web of Knowledge, which includes Web of Science, Biological Abstract, Zoological Record, Current Contents, and Westlaw. Elsevier provides Science Direct, Scopus, Compendex. JSTOR provides JSTOR Journal Storage. Springer provides Springer Link. In fact, all these are subscription-based scholarly databases, but there are also huge databases of the governments of many countries and United Nations and many NGOs and universities, which are free and are often easily accessible. Those databases are very easily accessible. Third type are the electronic information services for professional purposes as products. There are medical professional information services targeting pharmaceutical and healthcare industries who like to outsource medical communications. Medical professional information services provide customized services to their clients, allowing them to choose the language, timings, and source of searches. See, professional information, Ashfield medical information, among many other such services provide medical information solutions to their clients. There are employment websites which are like professional information services. Employees can post their requirement for various positions in their organizations on such sites, and job seekers can locate the job they are interested in and submit their resume by filling online applications. Now, according to eBiz MBA, Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, Glassdoor, Simply Hired, AOL Jobs, etc. were the most popular job sites in December 2013. Now we come to the fourth type, that is electronic information services for social purposes as products. See, especially Indians and among Indians settled abroad, matrimonial websites are very popular. Some popular matrimonial websites are bharatmatrimony.com, shadi.com, jeevansathi.com, simplymarried.com, communitymatrimony.com, etc. There are also matrimonial websites especially for, say, Tamil speaking people or say Maharashtrians, Bengalis, etc. So in fact, the online matrimonial matchmaking business in India is growing into millions of rupees. Plenty of tour operators serve their holiday packages at competitive prices to lure the customers through tourism websites. So these are electronic information services for social purposes as products. Now let's move on to the fifth type, that is business information services as products. Numerous business information services are there to solve business related problems. Any organization can hire them for technology services, recruiting services, business intelligence research, and the like. Now, business environments are highly competitive today, where access to critical information is the key to success. Now, business houses may want information about a list of companies in a particular country dealing in a particular commodity with more than a particular turnover. Or they may want to know what should be there in a CEO's service agreement, or how can they set up a company in another country. So business information services are sold as products in a variety of languages in any part of the world, collecting information from a wide variety of sources. For example, bizinfoservices.com, dowjones.com are some good examples of business information services. Now let's move on to the sixth type, financial information services as products. Many financial services companies, besides wealth and asset management, also give advisory on capital market. So such services also give the latest on the stock markets. They provide free as well as paid tips. Actually, often individuals need professional help to manage their finances. They need advice on money issues such as investments, insurance, savings for education, savings for retirement, estate planning, portfolio management, etc. So clients are often prepared to pay for such services. Such financial advices are offered by many sites like financialadvice.co.uk, adviceamerica.com, myfinead.com, market.com, arthyantra.com, etc. There are also real estate services helping in buying and selling property like magicbricks.com, indiaproperty.com, makan.com. Now let's move to the seventh type, that is email services as products. They can also be viewed as products. Email services help users to send, receive and view emails from their web browser. Besides free email providers who sustain themselves through advertisements, there are also premium email services charging a fee that are targeted towards niche audience. Now Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, Rediff Mail, etc. are the popular email services. Now all these email services are free and they offer easy access and storage of email messages to users. As I just told you, there are also premium email services charging a fee. Email boxes of such users of such fee-based services are not cluttered with advertisements or pop-up offers. Okay, they have high-performing antivirus and anti-spam protection. Generally, the premium email services are fast, reliable and secured. The probability of their accounts getting hacked is much less compared to fee-based services. Now let's move to the eighth type, that is electronic information storage services as products. Many online storage service sites are available for free as well as for fee to allow users to store photos, videos, textual documents and many other files. Some online storage services are Dropbox, Google Drive, Mozy, OMemo, etc. Internet users often feel the need to send large files to more than one person. Often email service providers do not allow large file uploads. Sometimes even the blog or website hosting providers allow very limited and small upload room for pictures, images, etc. Now to fulfill this need, many online storage service sites are available for free as well as for fee. The free online storage services generally have a limit between 1 GB and 10 GB of storage space and often limit on the size of any single file or the service can be used only for a limited period of time. So there are many fee-based information storage services that not only allow more storage space but also have more features like automatic backup of any modified file on the user's computer, thereby keeping it up to date. IBM has also launched an industry-specific cloud service. Now, let's move to the ninth type. There are real-time information services. Today, banks are trying to offer a non-stop interactive banking environment. Through internet banking, clients can receive payments, view details of their accounts, make online payments, and many other such real transactions. Even mobile banking services are available. There are also real-time weather services giving the minute details of the weather of a desired geographic location. The real-time currency converter services offer live currency rates. There are also services providing real-time running status queries of all trains, their PNR status, reservation status, etc. For example, inquiry.indianrail.gov.in, etrain.info, indianrailways.gov.in provide such service for Indian Railways. Real-time stock exchange alerts are there. There are real-time news alerts. Today, almost all online newspapers and TV channels provide news alerts. The 10th type could be audio text services as products. There are voice information services, also known as audio text, that use a voice response application permitting users to retrieve information over the telephone. The content of such services is defined as information. Such pre-recorded audio text services are charged by the provider on per call or per minute basis. If you are still wondering what is audio text services, well, according to yourdictionary.com, audio text is also known as audio text, and it is a simple voice processing technology that is essentially a voice bulletin board. Audio text allows callers to select pre-recorded messages from a menu. Audio text is used to provide information that seldom changes or that must be available to large number of callers. Examples of such messages include time and temperature, hours of operation, travel directions, fax numbers, web addresses, school closings, etc. So there are audio text services for gaming and betting, where clients bet into a game through a telephone call. Audio text services for voting are used for public polls. Often TV channels do it. Audio services are there for weather, horoscope, professional advice, fun chat, etc. Lastly, the 11th type is video text services as products. Now, video text is a technology that makes use of television, computer, and the telephone. Video text enables interactive communication for data acquisition, dissemination, and electronic banking and shopping. I do not claim that these 11 types of services are comprehensive, but they certainly give us an insight into the information services as products. Now, in summation, I can say that in this increasingly complex and dynamic world, information is very important for human as well as technical development. So, economics of information has become an interesting and important area of study. I will now quickly recapitulate the important points that we studied in this lesson. In the first place, I told you that economics of information is a branch of microeconomic theory that studies how information and information systems affect an economy and explores the extent to which markets and other institutions process information and respond to costly information. Then I told you that information asymmetries and signals are subfields of economics of information. and game theory is a related field of economics of information. Then I told you that information is something that reduces uncertainty, and information system is a collection of technical and human resources that provide for storage, computing and communication for the information required by the organization. Then I told you about information and information systems together affect economy, which can be understood by looking into 5 clear aspects, and these 5 aspects were that economic effect of information technology on organizations, electronic markets, network effects, social media, and informational characteristics of markets. Then I told you that commodity is something that can be bought and sold and is useful. Information as a commodity differs from tangible goods in terms of what constitutes value and what it means to sell or buy. So, in the first place, it is important to understand the characteristics of information even before we discuss the economic properties or economic role of information. The characteristics of information are that it is expandable, it is compressible, it is substitutable, it is transportable, it is diffusive, and it is shareable. Information has very interesting economic properties and has a powerful economic role to play, as no decision making can take place in any sector without information. Lastly, all information products essentially involve a service component. Technology has made the creation, manipulation and dissemination of information products much easier. A wide range of information services are distributed and sold as products, and these are essentially information related activities of the economy. So I hope this lecture was useful to you. Thank you.